Let's go! You know, three idiots on a podcast. Like,
I don't know what I'm doing.
Runs sucks.
We don't know if any of that's true, but Bill. Oh, Jordan, don't give me this technically crap. Come on.
Got personal this week.
Lots of stuff happened.
Chad Berger, Brian Dawson of USD.
Yeah, you're wrong.
You guys do it in a really professional manner, and it's awesome.
Well, Coyote fans, we survived D-Days. I hope you did too. So whether your recovery is going well or not, welcome into episode 7 of season 2 of the Howling Podcast. My name is Jordan Decker. Tonight, once again, joined by fellow Coyote fans Mark Wendt and Chad Berger. Friend of the show and third timer, the second person to join the Third Timers Club. Voice of the Coyotes, John Thayer, stops by in a few moments. Looking forward to visiting with him as always. So we'll recap the week that was in Coyote athletics first, and then we'll look ahead to the upcoming week. And then we'll close out the show tonight with a special version of our eye chart of the week that you don't want to miss. So some business first. Quick disclaimer, the opinions on this show are ours, and they do not represent USD or USD athletics. Social channels, find us on X at HowlWithUs3, myself at JD6Ope5, Mark at WDiamond605, and Chad at Chad Berger, Birger at Chad Berger. On Facebook, just search the Howling Podcast. Please like and follow the page. And then YouTube, for those of you joining on YouTube tonight, thank you for tuning in. You can search for us at the Howling Podcast. And as always, smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. When John comes on, if you've got questions for him, feel free to leave a comment. Our team will be standing by to post those as we go through the episode. Tonight's show, once again, brought to you by our tremendous friends at 19 Brewing Company in Vermilion. Before we get going on tonight's episode, though, Katie's got a quick word from 19 Brewing Company.
Looking for a place where good beer meets better company? Welcome to 19 Brewing Company, Vermilion's first craft brewery and home to Coyote Legacy Blonde Ale. Brought to you by 2 USD alumni, Coyote Legacy isn't just any beer. It's a chance to give back to student scholarships while enjoying a refreshing blonde ale. With 12 rotating taps, a flavor-it-yourself seltzer, and homemade root beer, we have something for every Coyote fan. 19 Brewing Company. Good beer, better company.
Good evening, guys. Great to see you.
We survived D-Days.
Happy post D-Days. Chad, happy post Key to the City.
We're back, guys. We're back. We're not bringing that up, Jordan. We're back. We're here. We're ready to go. So excited to talk about what happened in USD athletics and what's coming up. So that's what we're focused on here tonight. Before we get much further, let's go ahead and jump in and talk about last week's results. Mark?
Soccer went 1-1 on the week, dropping a tough one to the Bison up north in Vermilion, a 4-3 shootout. Ended up losing that one. And this afternoon beat North Dakota 2-1. Friend of the show might have had a big part in that game. We'll get to that in a little bit. Volleyball traveled out to Denver and lost in 4 sets. We'll get into that as well. Football, as we'll get into here very shortly with John Thayer, is now 3-3 on the season, 1-1 in the Valley after dominating Murray State 49-24. Swim and Dive, if you were following on our socials, Swim and Dive posted about 800 tweets a couple days ago, highlighting the men and women dominating both Augie and Minnesota State Mankato. Golf is up in Wichita, or down in Wichita, I suppose, competing down there. Women's golf tied for third. Ella Greenberg finished in the top 5. And cross country, Brookings was too scared to play us, so we went to Briarcliff and swept individual and team titles down there. So with that, let's welcome in.
Sounds like a great week. Yeah. So before you get that, we had a guest booked up, ready to go. And it was Mark's crush, first crush, Jennifer Love Hewitt, was set to join us tonight and then was unable to back out. Jordan was unable to make it into this.
Why am I not in this picture?
You were at the first grade flag football playoff game in this picture. So Mark and I were enjoying our time with Jennifer Love Hewitt, but she was unable to make it tonight. So we went with our backup guest. You all know him and love him. The voice of the Coyotes, Mr. John Thayer. Welcome in, John.
Thanks, guys. I'm not even upset that I'm the backup plan to Jennifer Love Hewitt. I mean, what a disappointment in the world. But I love it. That's great.
Not settled.
Oh, gosh.
I'm not prepared for questions for John. I'm going to have to erase all the ones I had for.
I'm going to have to erase the most uncomfortable dress you've ever worn question.
Well, I could answer that.
Well, John,
this is true. I'm going into this now. We're in it.
Well, I'm gonna kind of steer us back here to the Yotes. Obviously a lot of high expectations coming into the football season for the Coyote men. The first game at Iowa State, I think a lot of people, it ended a little bit, more lopsided than a lot of people would have expected or would have liked, but it is one of those games where it's like, yeah, it is what it is. But then, the Lamar thing and then, coming back and beating Northern Colorado and then just kind of the North Dakota State loss was a big letdown, I think, for the Yotes. But then getting the big win this season, it's been a roller coaster of a season for Yotes fans. Do you want to kind of, take us through what it's been like for you?
Yeah, I think, I think I approached the season a little bit different than a lot of people did, just because, when you follow a program closely, you know what this team lost or this program lost going into the spring season, spring ball, if you will. I just wondered if there would be some growing pains along the way. There's still some young guys and whatever, that were getting a lot of playing times. When you looked at USD's defense in particular at Iowa State, the number of guys who were playing their first significant collegiate snaps was just mind-boggling. And so I think, Iowa State right away, they threw a 66-yard pass because they looked at it and said, look, they've got young guys back there. Let's try to hit them deep. You know what I mean? And so we've seen some of the growing pains happen with that. We've seen the chemistry continue to build with Aiden Bauman and his receivers. And we've seen, a little bit with the offensive line. There's been a couple of games I feel like the offensive line has really struggled. And I don't think I'm speaking out of line when I say that, and I think some of that is their chemistry builds and their communication. And we're used to having an offensive line the last couple of years that have been together for a long time, and they knew how to communicate and they knew how to play off of each other. And these guys are getting new. Like a couple of these linemen, came to USD in the fall. So relatively short time, but it's the coaches are committed to talking about, we got to get better every week. And fans hate hearing that because they want results and everything, but you've seen improvements most weeks, I think, with this football team. You go to Iowa State, okay, if you don't have the tip ball and interception on drive number 2, does that game get away the way that it did? I'm not saying that USD necessarily wins the game, but I think that game is a lot more interesting for a lot longer than it was in Ames. And, then you go to Lamar, and I didn't feel like USD lost to Lamar. I didn't feel like Lamar beat USD. I thought it was a lot of internal mistakes. A couple of routes that could have been run maybe a little bit better, a little bit different. You have the fumble that goes into the end zone. Obviously, Charles Pierre injury at that point. Then you start seeing some things come back. You get a couple of home games. We're feeling good. Go to NDSU. And I'll be honest, I really didn't think the game would get away the way that it did up in Fargo. I thought it'd be a really hard game to win in Fargo, being on their homecoming, and they've got a lot of veteran players and stuff, and they're always really, really solid. I thought it'd be a hard game to win, but I didn't see it getting away the way that it did. To me, I thought this week was huge. And I don't care who the opponent is, right? To me, I look at it differently. Like, how do you bounce back? How do you take things that went poorly a week ago and bounce back this week? And I thought we saw a team that came out, played explosive, and was really good. And, for the most part, obviously they could have not given up some of the points maybe along the way, but a couple of those drives were aided by, one of the penalties, very fixable. You get an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that it was going to be 3rd and 25, and instead you got a first down, and that led to a field goal. That followed an onside kick. That would have been a huge stop after an onside kick. And so you have things like that, and then you have the pass interference, and you can call me a homer all you want. I don't care, but I really didn't like that called pass interference because I thought that was a really, really good play by Mikey Munn, but they called it. It is what it is, and you extend some of those drives, but I was excited to see this team get back on track and win a game that they feel like if they're a good football team that they needed to win, and they did so convincingly. I don't know what the scoring margin needs to be for a quote-unquote convincing win, but to me that game was dominated. It was very one-sided, and USD showed it was the better team.
Yeah, John, I'm completely impartial, and I agree with you on the pass interference call. So
you are very impartial. I didn't like it only because I thought he made a really, really good play. There's always going to be some chicken fighting and whatever, but I thought he made a really, really good play. And earlier I know that Murray State didn't want the PI on their guy and Jack Martins, but if you watch the replay, he literally was bear hugging him before the ball got there. So it was an easy call to make, but it is what it is. Some of those things happen and you move on and you just deal with it. Yeah.
So my question to you, John, is you talk with Coach Johansson weekly at the Cat Report down at the OLC, and he's remained steadfast that we're fine. We don't have to change anything. We just got to do better. From where you sit, have you seen any sort of strategic adjustments from week 1 to where we are today, or is Coach Johansson telling the truth? We're just trying to execute better.
I don't know that there's been a lot of difference in strategy. I really think this coaching staff is. I think they truly believe that they can be a lot better than what they've played in some games, and if they execute a couple of things, they watched the film really closely and they thought the NDSU game, there were some things like technically sound that got away. And if those technical things go a little bit differently, then maybe, the result of the game, not necessarily a win or a loss, but just the margin and how that game plays out, most of it is played. And I think they understand, there's some young guys. RJ Stewart hasn't played hardly any college. He didn't play any college football before this year. So he's kind of learning. Mikey Munn's the same way. We've seen Mikey get a couple of interceptions this year and things like that. But I don't think they've made a ton of major adjustments. I did notice one from this week, and Matt Vitzthum, the quarterback's coach, was on the sideline instead of being up in the press box this week. And I don't know what that means exactly. I'm not smart enough to understand that, but he's the quarterback's coach. He talks to Aiden, and rather than talking to him on the phone, they're looking at the pictures now side by side on the sideline. And I think that helps bring maybe a calming presence a little bit to the sideline. I mean, Coach Vitzthum, I've talked to him a number of times. Every time I see him, he's like the most chill dude. And, I talk to the coordinators every week on Thursdays. I talk to Travis Johansson Monday nights, and then again on Thursdays. And it's the same message. I mean, these guys are aligned in what they're trying to do. And, they still believe, even though they're, we're 3-3. All right. Maybe we could be 4-2 right now. Maybe it could be better. I don't know. But you're 3-3 right now. So all of your goals are still in front of you. And I know it hasn't always looked the same, but Coach Johansson has publicly said, look, in 21, we were a playoff team and we went to North Dakota State and got handled pretty good up there. I think I'm trying to remember what that was, 53-24, 51-24, something like that. But that was at the end of the year, and that was the last thing you had going into the playoffs, right? He almost looks at this like this is a blessing to have this early on, because now you can fix some of the things that you did up there and go, continue to improve on that. And so, I think this will be a huge week for them. They haven't won with Travis Johansson as the head coach on the road yet. And Terre Haute, Indiana is one of the places I hate going to because weird things seem to happen in those games there. And so this is a big test for him this week. And it's a game that if you're I think if you're a playoff team, I think you feel like you should be able to go there and get a win, but you have to get it done. So I don't think there's been a ton of major adjustments. I mean, I think they're just trying to fine tune the things that they believe are going to work with this group. And it's just something that with a lot of young players is going to take time. And we have to understand that it's just part of the deal. And yeah, there might be new players every single year. Doesn't mean we have to get off to a slow start every single year. It just kind of depends how, things these things pan out with the year-to-year thing. But I really like this team. I think they have a chance to win a lot of football games yet, and I'm excited to see how it goes.
He's John Thayer. He's the voice of Coyote football, men's basketball, host of the Yotes podcast. John, that's every Thursday those come out, correct?
Yep, Thursday at noon.
Thursday at noon. Okay. So just search Yotes podcast. If you follow John, he retweets and we'll retweet and repost those each week. You can also catch him tomorrow night at OLC for the Coyote Report, a weekly occurrence at 6 o'clock, correct? 6 to 7?
Yep.
And then South Dakota Coyotes page will post a live link for that. John, going on like the relationships, from what you've seen, from what you've heard, whether it's coaches and student athletes, how are those relationships with the newbies, whether they're transfers or freshmen, and then with the folks that have been at USD for a while? How's that acclimation going?
Yeah, I think, when you look at this year, they did something that I don't really remember football ever doing. They went out to Rapid City kind of area. They went to Mount Rushmore and some of that stuff. And I know you guys saw pictures and some of that stuff. And that was a real like team bonding type of thing. And so there's always going to be some newness as far as, people getting to know each other and things like that. But I don't know. I've talked to a lot of these guys, some of the new guys and some of the returners, and it just feels like a lot of these players are on the same page. You know what I mean? Like Tennell Bryant, like this dude's excited. I like talking to him because I know he's like super energetic, and he's got the ability to make some big plays, and he's fired up every single week. And Caden Crawford's a new guy, and we've seen some big plays that he's had, and so I think the relationships just continue to build, and it's easier to have better relationships when things are going well. So I think some of that gets challenged when you're having some tough games and some of that, but I think you can also build some of that chemistry through the tough games if it's handled correctly. So I think we've seen them mesh pretty well. I think, sometimes it just takes a little while longer, and everybody looks at every program and says, well, maybe it didn't take as long at this program or this program. And there's some of these, USD had a lot of their transfers happen like right before spring ball. And I think that delayed some of this as far as who they were going to get in and some of that relationship building. So I think that was part of it, but it seems like a lot of these guys are fired up to be here, and they're ready to win.
John, you get to interview quite a few different players, quite a few different coaches, and we've had the privilege here on this show of having quite a few players join us. We had Brooke Conway on last week from the soccer team. We had Avery Van Hook a couple weeks ago. We feel like every time we get a player on here, they're always fantastic. And, like, do you ever feel like maybe like these players nowadays are just like so prepped for media, or do you think the Yotes just do a great job of recruiting great people that are awesome and fun to be around?
I think it's, I think there's a combination of it, right? I think they do recruit really good individuals into the programs, but every kid is different. Some of these kids are shy, and some of them don't want to talk, and some you have to kind of break the ice a little bit with to get going, and some are not really good at media stuff. That's just the way it is. But I had Sam Coles on our podcast last week, and Sam was great because he's a guy who, and he openly talked about this, where he started 2 years ago, didn't start last year, only kind of played on special teams, and kind of wondered if he would come back for another year. And now he's back in the starting role. And, he was just so good talking about some of that. And I've talked to a bunch of different athletes. I mean, Clarissa Vega, I had her on our podcast, and she's a freshman, right? I didn't know how that would go. But she was really, really good. And I've had some student athletes where I'm meeting them for the first time when I interview them, and you're like, man, I have no idea. This is a shy person, whatever. And you kind of start the small talk before the quote unquote interview, which is, on a podcast, it's really just a conversation anyways, but everybody looks at it as a big interview, and it's one of those things that you start to get them comfortable. They start to talk. And so I've had a great time, and I know you guys do too, getting to know some of these student athletes and hearing their stories and hearing them talk. And you can just see some of them continue to grow and develop as the as the conversation unfolds. So I do think they recruit a lot of really good individuals, 100%. You just see that talking to them, like not even on interviews, just like passing some of these student athletes in the hallway or running into them at a different event or this or that. And just that they stop and talk and they want to have conversations with people. So I think it's a lot of fun, and I know you guys enjoy it, but I've really enjoyed getting to know a lot of student athletes from different sports.
My favorite parts, sorry, Mark, really quick. My favorite part is when last year and this year when we've done them, they sound nervous, and then usually it takes a couple questions because you kind of keep it light, right? Like we're not going to, it's nothing serious,
right?
But by the second, third question, you can tell the nerves are gone, and that's it's fun. It's fun to do.
Well, I think for a lot of them, I think they're like nervous they're going to say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And they're thinking about that. They're like too scared to mess up. But when you get them comfortable, they just like start talking, and you start talking about things they're interested in, their sport, their family, hobbies, things like that. Then it's easy. Like it's, you can tell the point where you're kind of in, and it's no longer like I'm nervous for a conversation. I love it when I've just met somebody and they have no idea what I'm going to ask them. They have no idea who I am really. And we have this conversation for 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes, whatever. And I get done and they're like, wow, that was really easy, or that was really fast. And it's like, probably wasn't as fast as you think, but that's a good thing you think that, because that means that, that you got comfortable.
Yeah. I think my favorite thing about is like we mentioned, we had the Brooke Conway on last week. Like she cares just much about winning as Aiden Bauman on the football team does. And just because they don't get all the fanfare and all that, like I just find that amazing. And I really enjoy talking to them. I did want to touch, you mentioned earlier, going on the road to Indiana State football wise, and even the team that made the semifinals last year kind of struggled there. I think it was a 1-score game deep into the fourth quarter for Travis broke a run there. Is there any rhyme or reason why we've struggled on the road, especially in Missouri Valley play, other than being in the Missouri Valley?
I think it's hard. I think it's hard going on the road. I mean, all your schedules are different, like for example, I don't know all the times yet or anything, but like the team will fly out on Friday afternoon. They'll go to Indianapolis. You can't stay in Terre Haute because they don't have full service hotels or anything like that, or hotels with enough meeting space. And you get there and people kind of settle in a little bit. And then all of a sudden you got a team meal, you got position meetings, you got team meetings, and that's kind of how they spend their evening. And then, Saturday morning, we'll have to get up and drive to Terre Haute, and then you're trying to get yourself up and whatever. And some of those are just different. Like you don't stay, and I know it's the same for people coming to us, right? Like you can't stay in Vermilion as a football team. You have to stay in either Sioux City or Sioux Falls, and some depends where they fly into or what direction they're coming from and some of that stuff. And so, I think it's just a challenge. I think playing on the road, I've seen it in all sports, is just tough. You get some of these plane rides, bus rides, things, whatever along the way, and just your routine's off a little bit. Terre Haute's a little bit different. Their stadium's built different. They only have stands on one side, so it just feels super weird, or at least that's the last time I was there that they had. And it's just different playing on the road. It's hard to explain. Some teams are really good at playing on the road, but you look at it, I mean, in all sports, even look at the NFL, like it's not easy to go on the road and win games. And I think there's just a lot of different factors that have to go into it. And you probably don't sleep as good, the night before as you do in your own bed, something you're not used to. And I think it's just a lot of factors that jump into that. And you just try to survive on the road, right? You want to win at home. You want to win all your games, really want to win at home, and you want to survive a couple of these on the road.
Well, and as long as no one pulls the fire alarm the morning of, right? I believe that just happened to
It did happen to Murray State. Fire alarm went off at their hotel like just before 6 a.m. on Saturday. And I don't know where they were staying. I know it was in Sioux Falls, but I texted the radio guy a couple of things that morning. He's like, hey, are you to blame for our fire alarm going off? I'm like, I'm nowhere near that place, But we had a one time in basketball where it goes off, and like generally when those things go off, and even if it might be a minor thing or you think somebody pulled it, they have to do a full evacuation and get the fire department there to clear it and everything. And so, yeah, their guys had a rude awakening on Saturday morning and then a rude awakening when they got to the Dome. I can tell you that much.
John, I'll close out football here. The two FCS losses, Lamar, North Dakota State. USD got rightfully critiqued and dropped in a lot of the FCS national polls, right? But I felt like they got hammered a lot more than they should have against the number one team in the country. And obviously, maybe it's because of the product they put on the field that day. But I feel like the talent they have, they haven't put 4 quarters together. You know, does this team, and now they're out of a lot of top 25 polls, and they might be tomorrow still. I don't know. Does this team like that underdog? Like, are they going to embrace that like they have maybe in the past as they rose then through? Because they got a really important 2-game road trip coming up that could put them easily at 5-3 going into that end of season 3-game stretch. So, just from what you've chatted with the guys recently, do they like that kind of being the hunter?
Yeah, I think when you talk to a lot of these guys, like they don't even worry about that stuff. And I know that sounds cliche and whatever. I know they see it. I know they understand it. But I think the coaches have really instilled in this football team in particular that they have to work hard every day. They have to get better every day. They have to get better every week if they want to get to their end goal of being in the playoffs and going whatever that may take them, you know, in the playoffs. That they have to continue to get better. And I think they had an awakening against NDSU, and then they had a really, really good practice week, and that showed on the field. And now what you hope is that carries into this week, right? That they have another really good week of practice, and then the energy's there. I really don't think that they are I really don't think that they are a team that's too worried about, you know, the polls or this or that or what other people are saying, because like I said before, they, you know, I get it. They dropped a game to Lamar that a lot of us felt like maybe they would go down and win, whatever. But they're 1-1 in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Like you get to 6-2 in this league, 5-3 in this league. Anything better than that, like, yeah, it may not be a conference championship, but you got a chance at the playoffs, right? And that's a realistic possibility with this football team right now. Big 2-game road stretch. They have an opportunity to win a couple of games. They're going to have to play well to win them. And then you get 3 games at home against currently nationally ranked teams. You get 2 out of 3 of those at home. Yeah, I'd love for them to get all 3. But let's be realistic, okay? This is a tough stretch, no weeks off, right? Kind of deal. You get 2 out of 3 of those. You go into Southern Illinois week on the road, really thinking about, wow, playoffs are now a real possibility for us. So I think it's kind of, you know, they just got to keep turning this thing over, man. I know it's cliche to say, like, get better by the day, get better by the week, everything like that. But I think we've seen some improvements in some areas. Sure, there's been some setbacks, and there will be. But I think they've learned from it. I think the coaches have done a great job. They take the film, they break it down, they have these position meetings. And I think these guys really, truly understand some of the stuff that's going on, or when it goes wrong, and how to fix it. And so you hope you see that against some of these other teams that you play and get some wins.
John, I want to kind of turn the page here to men's basketball. I know Coach Peterson has a couple returners with Ice Bruns and Cameron Fens, and it was just announced this week that one of our transfers, Josiah Dossler's got a torn ACL. I don't know how he was going to plan into the mix. I felt like maybe he was in the mix. I don't know if you talked to Coach Peterson how he feels about the team this year and chances of cutting the nets for him in Sioux Falls.
Yeah, we're always looking for net cutters, right? Like
100%.
Let's try to get him on a ladder for the first time in a couple of years, I bet. But no, this is a team that, you know, when I talked to Coach a couple of weeks ago, and I've talked to like the assistants too, and one of the things that I've heard from that area of Coyote athletics is that the men's basketball team is like really close. Like they feel like these guys have connected well, and you don't know how that shows on the floor. But generally that is a good thing. So I think it's a team that's really, really close. I think it's a team that plays hard. I've watched them play. I think they're going to play a little bit different than what we've seen. I've watched a couple of practices, and I'm excited. Cameron Fens has slimmed down a little bit. He looks healthy. He looks really, really good. Really excited for him. Isaac Bruns is just that steady, really good player. There is a decent chance, and we'll know this week here. Summit League Media Days comes out. There's a decent chance that Isaac Bruns will be the preseason player of the year in the Summit League. And maybe, he'll obviously a first team, I would imagine, in the Summit League. I don't know how all that voting is going, but, I know that, he's one of the top returners in the league. And so I'm excited for that. And then you look at, okay, what do they do to build around, Isaac Bruns and some of these guys? Well, you got some guys who have been building underneath. Shea Eberwine and Evan Anderson hasn't played yet. He was a redshirt last year, and some of these guys, but you bring in guys like Josiah Dotzler, and obviously the injury is a bad deal for him. I was really excited for him. He was not only in the mix, like he was a good guy to have in the mix, right? Like he was going to be a big contributor. And then you got some of these other guys. Vince is a guy that you're going to see a lot of. Jordan Crawford's a kid that is going to play a lot, and you can see it shoot the ball. Jesse McIntosh is one of the really, really, really good young players that they brought in. He's from Australia, and I met him actually when he was on his visit before he had, before obviously coming here. So this is a couple of years ago, and just a really, really down-to-earth guy. And I talked to him and his dad for a little bit, and I'm really excited for some of these guys. I think, we want to see the growth out of Jake Brack and how he works with Cameron Fens. And so I think this team has a chance to be really good. I don't know what the injury to Josiah Dotzler has to do with all that, but what I can tell you is there's a lot of youth on the team too, right? So you've got to realize that, like, I think winning Division I basketball games with a lot of young players, freshmen, maybe redshirt freshmen or whatever, I think can be really, really hard. So there's going to be some roller coaster, probably some ups and downs, but I think the benefit to this schedule is that South Dakota plays a ton of games in the state of South Dakota, right? Like USD does. And they get a lot of home games this year. Their road games for the non-conference are pretty much Power 4 or Mountain West teams or the Big Sky Challenge. Like, that's what it is. So I think the schedule sets up for them, and hopefully they can, get comfortable at home and play well. I'm excited for the men's basketball season. I really am. And I just, some of the youth is going to show at times, but I'm excited for the talent that's there.
Very much so. I think a lot of people are going to sleep on USD when they shouldn't. And any poll, Mark, we'll have them higher. John, I know Jerry P does the women's side, but have you had a chance to check them out or chat with Carrie and coaching staff? What's kind of the insight on that side?
Yeah, I'll be interested to see this team compete, because obviously it's almost a brand new team, right? Aside from Olivia and sorry, drawing a blank, Coral coming back. Aside from those two coming back, it's a brand new team. What I'm really excited for this team is that Carrie, Amy, and Devin and their staff have brought this team together. This is the style of basketball closer to what they want to see. Is it 100%? Maybe not, because this is the first year they brought in the transfers and stuff. So I don't know if this is the year necessarily, but I think that they are putting together something that's going to be a fun product to watch. And that is going to be a team that really, really competes week in and week out. And again, for them, how are they gelling right now is going to be the question, because when the season tips off in a month, think about that, a month we're playing basketball. There's going to be, with a lot of new players, how do they gel together, and how does that look chemistry on the court? So I'll be excited to see that, but I'm really excited for Carrie, Amy, and her group, because they knew what they wanted to bring into USD. They knew that they didn't quite have the pieces they needed last year to be the team that they wanted to be. And I think we got a lot closer now. So I think we're going to have fun in the basketball season. And like I said, it's a month, man. It was roughly November 3rd, doubleheader to kick it off. So get ready.
Well, John, I'm going to kind of wrap this up by asking you a question about that. We had you on in late November of last year, and you actually kind of got, you were on like a little bit of a flight challenge there to get back from the men's basketball trip. And then you ended up missing the first half of the football game. and everything else. And we had you on that, I think that next week, and you were telling us about some of that. But how challenging is it for you personally? You know, you're calling all these games. You're staying involved with all the Coyote athletics, and you got the fall season kind of wrapping up here as we move into November. You've got the winter season just kicking off, and there's just everything going on at the same time. How exciting and challenging is that for you?
Well, it's always a challenge. It's a challenge for a lot of people when we're dealing with crossover season. That's the reality of it. But I'll say this, I'll take the no sleep and I will take the challenges if that means that we have fall sports extending into winter season because they're having postseason success and some of that. Like, I'll take that on because, you know, you look like the first week of the season will be home basketball on Monday night. We're probably going to have to move our Coyote Report radio coaches show to Tuesday. We go to Omaha for Creighton on Wednesday. I'll be doing interviews for our pregame show on Thursday, and then we got a football game on Saturday, and this stuff just keeps on going, right? I started looking at some of the schedules, and I thought maybe there were a couple of weekends where it wasn't going to be as busy, and then I realized, oh yeah, you're forgetting about a game. You know, like that first week, we play Wednesday, then you got that football game on Saturday, and then we got another basketball game on Sunday, and so it's just a constant cycle. And I can't remember what it was last year. I think in like a month and a half with like November and part of December, I think I slept in my own bed at home like 2 or 3 nights out of like a month and a half because it was just like we were on the road for things and we were gone. And the other thing is, like, I don't mean to make it sound like a bad deal because I literally get paid to go watch sports and talk about it. And so it's a good job. It really is. It's fun and I enjoy doing it. I love being around what we do. But there are some days where you're like, man, I really have to buckle down. I got to get some things done. If I don't I'm terrible. I'm a procrastinator. I'm terrible with being on a schedule. But if I don't get on a schedule with some of this stuff, like to get prepped for every single game that we have and the shows and everything, and then the podcast interviews on top of it, like all of that has to get mixed in together. And, when you are constantly moving from this to that, it can get confusing. It can get challenging. But again, it's fun. It is what it is. And at the end of the day, when you're producing a product, all people want is a good product. They don't care what you went through to make it happen. They just want a good product. So I've lowered a little bit my caffeine intake here for the next month so that I can be geared up for all that caffeine I'm going to need here in November, December.
They don't realize the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into this production of the Howling podcast either.
Yeah.
We are up at the crack of dawn on Sunday, slaving away at those slides that everyone adores. I'll tell you what.
Love.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, John. We really appreciate all the insights, all the things that you shared with us tonight. We're looking forward to the next few months here for Coyote Athletics. Got a big stretch run here for football coming up. Volleyball's just getting into their conference season and got to change a few things, but basketball is coming up too, and we're getting excited for that as well. So looking forward to hearing a lot more from you over the next few months.
Yeah, it'll be fun, and hopefully we get to talk about a lot of success, and I can't wait for my 4th appearance on the Howling podcast.
4th appearance, and like I said, the invite's always open for Taco Tuesday as well. I kind of prefer that's like my own little personal Yote report there. So that's a good one.
Did we decide the 4-timers club gets a jacket, or is it a magnet?
We'll figure something out. Yeah.
Okay.
Lifetime membership pin, something like we gotta. we can negotiate.
You're the man, John. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
All right, thanks, guys.
See you later. See you soon. All right. Well, guys, we're batting 1,000 still. Guests are always amazing on this show. We've never had a bad one yet. So,
I mean, it wasn't Jennifer Love Hewitt, but he did okay.
It's fine.
She might give us a rain check. You never know.
Right.
All right. Well, let's jump in. News and notes.
Summit League basketball turning all session tickets, as we mentioned last week, and that's hit your email. Our AD John Schemmel sent out an email about how that was going, and it was pretty disappointing. We get extended. We get till October 10th. So I hope, if you haven't already, if you're a Yote fan, buy those lower bowl all session tickets to the summer league tournament. There's just,
and I tweeted it out earlier. Like, you can always resell your all session. So if Yotes are only men's and women's are only in a combined like 2-3 sessions, it's easy to resell,
right?
But you cannot complain if there's no availability in the lower bowl. Now's the time to get it.
Yep, 100%. As we mentioned with John, injury on the men's basketball front. Josiah Dossler torn ACL. He's out for the year. We wish him a speedy recovery. Dalton Smith was added to the women's basketball coaching staff. I believe he was a graduate assistant under Coach Amy in a previous stop. And someday we'll get to delete these last 2 bullet points. This week is not that week. Neither I nor Chad on veteran professor of the game this past week, respectively. So this week is a new opportunity for both of us. So good luck, Chad.
Thank you. You know what? At this point, you know, I'm just, it'll happen eventually, Mark. We're gonna make it happen.
Right.
The USD master facility plan was revealed. So this was a big thing that came out over the past week here. You guys have comments on this?
Well, I don't know who made the next slide. I hope it's Jordan, because he has eyes that can probably read the fine print that's on the next couple slides. I do want to point out, and if I can have a complaint about anything, it looks amazing. But as we mentioned last year, when we were discussing softball with Coach Biv, there doesn't appear to be any outfield seating for the softball complex. And this is just Mark Went talking. This is not the Howling Podcast talking. I don't know, some outfield bleachers that could seat 20 or 30.
Yes.
I'd appreciate that. So that's my only complaint. Everything else looks absolutely fantastic. So
one of the biggest things for the dome on that top left picture, so I was listening to a local radio show and they had Craig Maddock on it. They were already talking about, the high school championship's going to get put back up in Brookings, and they want to start that conversation. I'm like, I don't think they're redoing the seats though. Like, it's not like they're gutting it on that. So they're just redoing the concourse, I think. So like the capacity is still going to be there. I would assume, like, that looks the same. Obviously, like the outside to the far left where Coyote Landing is, that'll get redone. But no, it looks great. This looks phenomenal. Softball, A+.
I think the true test will be this November when Mobridge Pollock makes the state championship game to see how many fans are packing those seats in the Dakota.
Mark, do we get? Do you have any Mobridge shirts? You know, we can really make it a route. We could go live from the game.
Yeah, I have some connections, I think, still that we can tap into. If one of our would vote them a little higher, have a higher chance about doing that. But 4 or 5 is where he's got them. So.
That made this slide.
Hey. So Jordan, take us through the highlights of this, please. Do not read all these bullet points for us.
Bullet point 1, a 7th. No, I'm just kidding. No, lots happening on the east side. Some of this stuff has been chatted about, but it's nice to finally get this on paper. So yeah, just new stuff for golf, for softball. Where the old pool was at, it's going to be a state-of-the-art lifting facility for football. Better offices for everybody on the 2nd and 3rd level, the 500 level. So that's going to be like the tip top. They're going to add some suites up there, kind of a cool wraparound staircase elevator access as well. And then the west side, just some new equipment facility stuff. And then there's actually, I didn't put this picture on there, but where I think it's Fox Print and Poet are. So when you see that on that white on the west side, that's actually going to be like a VIP seating area up there, and then as well as like a dining area for football throughout the season too, a place for student athletes to eat. And in the south end, I really hope this is not going to be the final product with the middle thing there, because definitely going to be an obstructed view. But how cool is this? You're going to have field level suite in the end zone. I think that's phenomenal. So that's kind of the 10,000 foot view of it. Yeah. How was that?
I think that was great. Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be better than a lot of other facilities in the conference.
For sure.
Okay. We're not going to be having training rooms and tents and things like that. There's going to be, phenomenal fan experience. We just got to stay off that, like Jordan mentioned, the obstructed view. We don't want to have any of those tweets coming.
I forgot to mention the most important thing: a new sound system in the dome. That was part of it, listed on the GoYotes.com article.
And the other thing that we mentioned previously is the indoor track facility is part of that, all that as well. So,
yes, new turf, permanent turf. Ooh, yep.
Yeah. Are we still going to get Marcus coming in? Like the high pitched Marcus, coming in over the.
I don't know how it would be, but I got to win the lottery. But over the east side entrances, having like a huge LED paw and maybe like the secondary logo over the top of the sponsor, there's just so much blank space up there. It would look so cool. Anyways.
All right. Well, let's talk football a little bit. So we talked football a little bit with John Thayer. We talked about the Murray State game. Overall, Yotes hosted Murray State on Saturday. Took care of business in this one. 49-24 was the final. You can see the Yotes got out to a 14-7 lead in the first quarter and then put up 21 in the second quarter. 14 more in the third quarter to the Murray State's 10. And then at that point, 49-17 at the end of the third quarter. It was all but over at that point. Aiden Bauman finished the game with 185 passing yards. LJ Phillips had 244 rushing yards.
Is that
good? That's pretty decent. It's not a record, though. He had a record earlier this season. It's not the record.
We officially declared, is he really, really good at football? Have we officially done that?
Yeah, I mean, we should if we haven't.
Yeah.
He's really, really good at football.
Lorenzo Fenner, 108 receiving yards on the game. This one was played in front of almost 8,000 people at the Dome on Saturday, and 72-degree weather indoor, much nicer than a 90 whatever it was outside. Give us a little bit of a taste of the atmosphere on Saturday, guys.
I thought it was a good crowd. It was a rowdy crowd, and we got off to the quick start there. And overall, kind of what we talked about a little bit with the Drake game. The Yotes looked kind of like the Yotes. I was really impressed with LJ Phillips' vision. It's kind of fun to watch him. Like, he sees, not to compare him to me in any stretch, but in seventh grade, when I got a handoff one time, I closed my eyes and just ran forward until someone tackled me. Like, LJ Phillips' eyes are open, and he sees a lot of stuff that is pretty incredible to watch. So overall, I could complain about what happened at halftime and people forget to come back in and all this stuff, but overall, it was a happy D-Days football wise.
Yeah, I listened to some of it because I was at first grade flag football. I got sunburned, 90 degree. I could have used a dome. They should have played that in the dome. But anyways, listening to it sounds like Lorenzo. He's really, really good at football. The route running, the catching, like it's good. Mark, how was Aiden's throwing? Obviously the stats are there, but was he more on target, on time with his throws compared to previous games?
Yeah, I think he looked as good as he has all season. Obviously, when LJ is putting up over almost 10 yards a carry, we're not leaning on him as much. But yeah, he hit the deep throws. He hit a lot of the short throws. Some of the stuff we were nitpicking him on early, where he was missing some of the timing routes and some of that stuff. I didn't see any of that on Saturday. So overall, definitely an improvement from where we've been, and hopefully we can build off this and carry that forward on the road here.
And if the Bauman family is watching, that was Mark Wendt, who has been nitpicking Aiden's throws so far this season.
It is so nice to not have this on me this year. It is so nice. If you folks remember, I got crucified for making one comment like the first episode about the play calling.
Well, Josh Davis left because of this, Jordan. So, I think,
so can I be blunt? No, I'm just kidding.
No, we did exit interviews, and he said, "Well, that one guy on the Howling podcast, so."
Both mom and dad were there. Both Aiden's mom and dad were both there, right in front of me. And I did get to shake Todd's hand in the concourse. So, always cool when a former NFL quarterback recognizes who the heck I am and wants to shake my hand. So,
I still think we need to get Todd and Uncle John Randall to lead one of the Howls and the last 3 home games. It'd be great if it was against the Bunnies, but Illinois State, UND, they're going to be great games too.
Or get them on the show.
Start it now.
Friends of the show.
Hey, friends of the show.
All right. Well, the Yotes outgained the Racers 568 to 312. Rushing yards 380 to 100. That's usually a sign for success when you're winning the rushing yardage battle by that much. Overall passing yards, USD only had 188, but the ones they had were spectacular. Aiden Bauman finished 12 for 16, 185 yards, 3 touchdowns. LJ Phillips, 24 carries, 244 yards. As Mark did the math earlier, that's 10 yards per carry. 4 touchdowns. Lorenzo Fenner, 3 receptions for 108 yards and a touchdown. Defensively, Yotes were led by Chris Dixon, 5 tackles and a sack. Mikey Munn, 4 tackles, 2 TFLs, and 1 PBU, pass broken up. And Gabriel Hardman had 8 total tackles. So lots of great performances here by the Yotes. Any final comments, guys?
Just got to take it on the road to Indiana State.
Yep. A good dominating road win now.
All right. Well, let's talk standings. So far on the season, South Dakota moves up to 1-1 in the Missouri Valley standings. North Dakota State 2-0, South Dakota State 1-0, and Southern Illinois and North Dakota are all 1-0. But South Dakota is right there at 1-1. Big chance this weekend, taking on Indiana State to climb that ladder a little bit more. I haven't looked at who else everyone else is playing, but we're not worried about this right now. We're gonna kind of keep track of this as the season goes on. But I'm expecting the Yotes to move up higher in the standings as we go.
I have them higher. Yep.
All right. Well, let's talk volleyball. Tough one Saturday, guys. Nothing on Thursday. Saturday, the Yotes go to Denver and lose it 3-1. Yeah, not good. This one, Denver won the first set 25-22. Yotes took the second one 25-18, and then Denver won set 3 25-19 and set 4 25-23 to close it out with the 3-1 victory in front of 514 people in Denver, Colorado. As far as the Yotes go, you can kind of see some of the stats on here. Hitting percentages were not terrible in this case. You can see Audrey Nelson had a good game. Amanda Lotion still having a tear of a season, hitting 579 on Saturday. But, overall, not great. If you look at the service errors line on this slide, I think I see 13 right there. That's never a good sign. That means that the serve either didn't go inbounds or didn't make it over the net. And so those are not good things versus only 2 service aces. And then big game here from Morgan Bodie, though, on the block side. Friend of the show, Morgan Bodie, I believe, set the school record for blocks in a 4-set match with 10, if I'm remembering this statistic correctly. So congratulations to number 8, Morgan Bodie, on that new school record. Lots of room for improvement here for the Yotes. Still early in the season, so lots of ways we can go about that, but a little bit disappointing with the loss at Denver. As far as some of the other stats here, you can see tie scores, lead changes down here at the bottom. It was kind of a back and forth one, especially in every set except for set 2, where the Yotes pretty much dominated. Right. So lots of different things going on there. But yeah, we mentioned earlier the the errors really kind of haunting the Yotes at this point right now, whether it's on the service side or even the attacking side. 22 errors in this one on the attack side of things is not great.
God, I hate when our teams go to Denver. Just never goes well.
Denver's been down a little bit, but that feels like to me as our traditional rival. And I didn't put it up here, but Denver's overall hitting percentage for the match was lower than ours. It was just kind of a timing deal where we weren't getting the points when we needed them, and the results are what they were. So
yeah. All right. Summit League standings. Yotes only played one this week, so 1-2 right now in conference. Right in the middle of the pack, if you look at this. You got three teams up at 3-0. Denver's at 3-1 after beating us. That North Dakota loss is looking not great right now. North Dakota's at 1-3. So lots of room for improvement here for the Yotes. I think we mentioned this schedule doesn't get much easier coming up this next week, and we'll bring this up later on, but St. Thomas, look where they're at, top of the conference. Omaha traditionally has always been pretty tough, and Kansas City as well. And then, October 18th at the SCSC against that team at the very top up there. It's going to be, the next couple weeks are going to be a tough stretch here for the Yotes, and got to at least split. But, let's go 4-0 the next couple weeks here.
Yeah.
It's crazy that these standings compared to, the last several years, that usually those top two teams are at the bottom of it. And then you got Denver, USD, and Omaha, mid to middle lower. But it's early.
Yeah.
It's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Kansas City, Omaha, and South Dakota here being on the bottom half of this is a little bit atypical, but it is what it is. All right, let's move on to soccer. Soccer hosted North Dakota State, as Mark mentioned, on Thursday. In this one, man, it was a nail bite. It was snug all the way through. A really good one, but the Yotes ended up giving up a goal to North Dakota State very late and ended up on the losing end of this one, 4-3. As far as the goals that were scored, Brooklyn Bordson scored one, assisted by Izzy Quintavale. That was early on, and then Gabby Ryan scored a goal on a penalty kick, and Molly Van Meteren got a fantastic goal on off of a corner kick by friend of the show, Brooke Conway. That one we reposted that one on the X machine the other day.
I'm really glad I asked her about a header last week, the technique.
Just wait. We'll get there too. So Brooke Conway's had a week here. Okay. She was on the Howling podcast and then had an assist on Thursday. But then unfortunately gave up that late goal to NDSU to drop that one. Versus UND today, the Yotes win 2-1. And friend of the show, Brooke Conway, scored the opening goal for the Yotes. And Clarissa Vega, hopefully future friend of the show, with the game-winning goal. The Yotes had 22 shots on goal, where UND only had 8. And so we're going to go ahead and bring up the video here that we were mentioning.
He tried to redirect it over to Peters, a foot race toward the touchline, plays it out in front of the box. It's headed on frame, and it's put in the back of the net by Conway. Brooke Conway got the touch on a beautiful cross by Peters and played it right.
So Kaya Peters.
I got ahead of myself there.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Soccer puns are always welcome. Kaya Peters sent it across from left to right on your screen if you're watching. This video is courtesy of the Summit League Network via the International Space Station because we're way out here watching what's happening. But if you want to watch it again, you can see Peters kind of streaking down the left side here. She sends it across, and then Conway knocks it in. It was a great, fantastic goal. Very, very happy with how that turned out.
I honestly didn't realize that they shot soccer games from on top of the dome. I didn't think the booth could go that high.
It's difficult to follow what's going on here, but yeah, we did the best we could.
Hey,
good job.
I did want to point out, Chad, before we move on. So I know we lost the match to North Dakota State, but the last 3 matches the Yotes have played, we've outshot the opponent 22-5, 25-8, and 22-8. So as we mentioned last week, the field is tilted in our favor. It's just a matter of taking advantage of those opportunities. So they've been playing really, really well, and I'm excited for what's to come. We're playing the teams, as we'll get here in the next couple slides, the standings. We're playing those teams at the top of the standings, much like volleyball. So,
well, let's bring up the standings. So you can see the standings here for Summit League. You can see Oral Roberts is in first place with that 3-0 record, but Denver's right on their tails with 3-1. And then you can see kind of a jumble in there. South Dakota State, Omaha, South Dakota, all with near similar records there. And then North Dakota State, North Dakota, Kansas City, and St. Thomas bringing up the rear of the Summit League standings. So lots of good things. This is soccer, of course. But yeah, I mean, you're supposed to beat the teams that are below you, right? Beat the teams you're supposed to beat. And then, maybe knock off 1 or 2 of those teams above you and see how things shape up. But as far as the women's soccer championship goes, it'll take place in the Summit League from November 1st through 9th on campus sites, and it will be the top 6 teams. 6 teams, top 6 teams in the conference make this one. So the number 3 seed will host the 6 seed, 4 hosts 5, and then the winners move on to face the 1 versus 1 or 2. They'll be reseeded kind of as it goes. And so this was taken from the Summit League website, I'm assuming, Mark?
Correct.
Okay.
I think we were guessing 4 teams made it last week. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but here's the answer: 6.
Well, no one watched it last week, so this week
Exactly.
we'll just say it like we know it. It was 6. It's 6 teams here, but yeah, we're excited here. Got to make that top 6 to get in that conference tournament. So that was soccer. Any final things to talk about there?
I like I mentioned a little bit earlier, they look impressive. Like certainly capable of competing with the top 2 or 3 or whatever it's going to be. And as Coach Thomas mentioned in the preseason, we haven't tied in conference yet, so that's got to be a good sign for him and the team. So looking forward to it. Really excited.
Yep. No good ties, no bad ties either. So
exactly,
that's the good thing. All right. So what's coming up this week?
John Thayer will be at the OLC tomorrow night at 6. If they can move that to 6:30, I would make it. 6 is tough for me, so I may or may not be there. Lunch with the U, Pizza Ranch, Sioux Falls, Thursday. Volleyball head coach Leanne Williamson will be there.
Friend of the show.
Future friend of the show probably as well. Football, as we mentioned a couple times, will be at Indiana State on Saturday. Volleyball, home match on Thursday, St. Thomas, and on the road to Omaha. So Michael
Sharp, get ready. You're going to lose, buddy. You're going to lose.
Get the brooms ready, Michael Sharp.
Get the brooms.
Prepare yourself.
Get ready to karaoke that ballad, Michael.
Yes. Soccer will be at Kansas City on Thursday and at ORU, who just beat Denver, who's a perennial powerhouse in women's soccer. So big matches coming up this week for soccer team. Softball hosts Black Hills State University as they wrap up fall ball. Can't be very many more games left for them. We'll do our best to get a Skittles count. We failed you here the last couple weeks with that.
Well, it's been a lot of Skittles to not a lot of Skittles. I know.
Correct.
That.
Correct. Yeah. Yes. Swim and dive. This one confused me a little bit, guys. Maybe you can explain this to me. They'll be at Minnesota and Nebraska for a tri-dual. Anyone brave enough to explain that? A tri-dual?
We are going to effort here to get someone from swimming and diving on the program over the next 4 or 5 episodes. So hopefully we can get that explained.
Do the 3 schools, but Minnesota and Nebraska are hosting, so maybe like half the teams are at all 3 sites. If that's the case, why? I don't know.
That's weird. Anyways, we'll move on.
Eye chart. eye chart.
And men's golf will be down in Wichita for the Grier-Jones Shocker invite. I almost said soccer.
They're going to Wichita, like the lyrics for which song?
Seven Nation Army. You'll never get me on that ever again.
There we go. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up with the eye chart of the week.
And that's just what they wanted to do there. And all things considered, again, as you see the eye chart cardboard cutout, how appropriate.
Through the review, the eye chart made its way to the video board. It really injected some energy.
Our own Mark Wendt is famous for holding up that eye chart at basketball games when officials make questionable calls. We give our eye chart of the week moments for questionable calls in games or in life. And this week, we're going to start off by reviewing the results from last week. Last week, the winner of the eye chart of the week, we had over 11,000 votes in this one, and we had a tie. The WNBA and the NFL, two big leagues, big pro sports leagues, both tie with the eye chart of the week. But this week, something happened, and we had a unanimous eye chart nominee. And so, Mark, go ahead and tell us about that.
Yeah, so Saturday, in my attempt to win tailgater of the game and win the flag, I tweeted a picture of me and my girls, and I added at SD Coyotes and told them, consider this our application for tailgaters of the game. A fine gentleman, maybe not so fine gentleman, responded to that tweet and said, if I was that ugly, I would kill myself. Now, I wasn't aware of that reply. Every time I post a picture of the girls, I tell them we're going to go viral. And so they wanted to know how many likes, how many retweets we got. And so I was first made aware of it when my youngest 8-year-old Caitlin handed me my phone and said, who is this person talking about? I, of course, told them it wasn't about her or her sister. It was about me. Later that quarter, as we're watching the football game, she climbs in my lap and whispers in my ear, "You're not going to listen to him, are you, Daddy?" And last night, as I put them to bed, I'm laying in bed after I get them to sleep, just after midnight. And my door opens and two little girls climb into my bed. I ask them if they had a bad dream. And Naomi tells me, we just want to know if you're safe. That got my attention. That's why we're still talking about this a day and a half later. If it was just at me and if I just saw it, I would do what Chad Berger has said numerous times on the show, is just scroll by it. Although it would have bothered me anyway. I have some personal history with suicide, myself and some of my best friends on earth. I'm not going to get into that here. I posted a thing on Facebook if you want to go look at it. That's fine. So this guy's going to win the eye chart of the week. But I do want to try to spin it a little positive if I can, and let people know that there's help out there. USD does a great job. We talked with Brooke last week, and Connor's walking around at practices and is there to talk to, and teammates, and it's kind of USD's doing a great job of trying to undo the stigma with mental health and that kind of stuff. So as best I can, I want to spin it positive and let people know that if they're hurting, there's resources out there for you. And if worst case, if you want my number, you can have my number. Let me know if you want my number. I'm not going to be able to fix your problems. I know what problems look like. Trust me. But we'll get you to Sunrise. So really, I think this week iChart is kind of irrelevant. This guy's going to win it. This is about doing better and letting people know that if you're hurting and need some help, there's resources out there for you.
Thank you, Mark. Well said.
I love you, Mark. Well said.
Yep. We have to be better as a society than this. We can't try to crack jokes on the internet. I'm assuming it was a joke attempt. If it wasn't, then this, I am praying for this person that they get the help that they need. But essentially, hiding behind anonymous accounts online and saying vile and vicious things to people is not a good thing to do at all. And so we need to be better as a society, and let's be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. It comes down to every single individual out there. Mark, I thought you handled it extremely well yesterday. And one of the things that, I'm sitting there in church this morning and the gospel lesson comes on, and it's Luke 17:3-4. Pay attention to yourself. If your brother sins, rebuke him. If he repents, forgive him. And if he sins against you 7 times in the day and turns to you 7 times saying, I repent, you must forgive him. And I know, Mark, you said this. You said you're like, I'm going to forgive this guy because that's what I need to do. It's hard, though, isn't it? I mean, it's difficult. It's a challenge, but this is what we have to do. And I hope that, this person, whoever it is, hiding behind an anonymous account, I hope that they genuinely repent and think about, is this the thing that I should be doing with my life? Is this the way that I want to live my life? And we have to be better than this.
Yeah. So I would just add a couple things, Chad. Thank you for that. I don't want this to be about what this guy team cheers for, and I don't want it to be our fan base or their fan base. That guy doesn't represent their fan base. Some of my favorite people root for the wrong team. And number 2, I haven't read it yet, but I know there's an apology in my inbox, and when I'm ready, I'll read it. And like you say, Chad, I'll get there. But I did want to mention that I don't want to make it red versus blue here, because it's not that. So,
well said, guys. Well said.
All right. I don't know. Do we have to put this? Sorry. Do we have to put the opinions expressed on this show are solely those of Mark, Jordan, and Chad, and do not reflect the opinions or beliefs of USD or the USD Athletic Department. We should probably say that disclaimer again, just to make sure everyone's aware. But those are our personal opinions. So, guys, great show tonight. Went a little bit long, but lot of great stuff that needed to be said. And so, any final comments here?
New week, let's go.
New week. I can't wait to get over to 19 Brewing Company. Should be able to get down there this week. Oh, look at this segue. This is
nice.
This is
nice.
Great. This is great. So, special thanks to the sponsor of the show this season, 19 Brewing Company. New beers on tap, new merch. I saw they have new fall merch on tap too. Give them a follow on social. They got a lot of fun events throughout the fall coming up. So, and if you stop in, as Chaz says, tell them the Howling Podcast sent you. You won't get anything free, but you'll get a smile. So, there you go.
Right.
Yeah.
And try the cheeseburger egg. The cheeseburger egg rolls are A+.
Plus.
All right. Well, thanks to everyone for tuning in tonight. As always, the Howling Podcast is produced by the Wakanda Peach Company of Burbank, South Dakota. Special thanks to our guest, John Thayer. Jennifer Love Hewitt, if you're out there, thanks to you as well for considering us.
DM me.
As always, Mark Wendt and for Jordan Decker, I'm Chad Berger. Until next time, go Yotes.
Go Yotes.
Go Yotes.
Let's go! 3 idiots on a podcast. Like,
I don't know what I'm doing.
Runs sucks.
we don't know if any of that's true, but Bill.
Oh, Jordan, don't give me this technically crap. Come on.
Got personal this week.
Lots of stuff happened. Just
Chad Berger, Brian Dawson with USD.
Yeah, you're wrong.
You guys do it in a really professional manner, and it's awesome.